Beneath the sun-bleached hills of northern Greece, hidden in the soil near the ancient ruins of Amphipolis, lies a monument of haunting grandeur, a tomb of stone and silence. Its very presence is a riddle, a voice from a vanished empire, whispering secrets through light, shadow, and myth. It's called the Castor Monument, also known as the Castor Tomb or Castor Tumulus, and it may be more than just an elaborate burial site. A new theory, published on May 15, 2025 in the Nexus Network Journal, proposes that this ancient structure contains an astronomical secret that links heaven to earth, and possibly points toward the final resting place of one of history's greatest figures, Alexander the Great. The researcher behind this bold proposal is independent scholar Demetrius Savvides. Using 3D modeling and Stellarium, an open-source astronomical program that simulates how the stars and sun appeared in the sky thousands of years ago, Savvides reconstructed the solar patterns of 300 BC, the approximate time when the Castor tomb was built. And what he found is breathtaking. On December 21st, the date of the winter solstice, the longest night and the turning point toward longer days, the sun rises low in the southern sky, and beginning at around 10 a.m., a golden thread of light pierces the tomb's entrance, travels along its carefully angled corridor, and creeps toward the innermost burial chamber. By late afternoon, the space is fully flooded with light. A room once sealed in darkness now burns with cosmic brilliance, as if the universe itself is honoring the dead. It's an effect that would have seemed divine, engineered not just by architects, but by the cosmos. But this was no accident. According to Savvides, the original layout of the tomb had no such alignment. During construction, the orientation was deliberately altered. The blueprint changed to embrace this specific celestial event. Why go to such lengths? Why redesign an enormous tomb mid-construction? Because this wasn't just any tomb. It may have been intended for a man who was, to one of history's most powerful rulers, more than a general, more than a brother in arms. Hephaestion. Hephaestion Amyntoros was Alexander's closest companion, his most loyal confidant, and, many believe, the person he loved most. The two had grown up together, studied under Aristotle together, and conquered the world side by side. When Hephaestion died suddenly in 324 BC, Alexander was inconsolable. He shaved his head, refused food, executed Hephaestion's physician, and ordered that he be worshipped as a hero, perhaps even as a god. And here, in northern Greece, lies a monument of unmatched scale and beauty, built with a king's grief and possibly for the memory of a man Alexander saw as his other self. The Castor tomb is vast. It features a 500-meter-long enclosing wall, intricately carved sphinxes, and a dazzling mosaic of Persephone being abducted by Hades, an eternal myth of descent into death and return to light. The symbolism is powerful. Persephone isn't just a goddess of the underworld. She is also the goddess of vegetation and seasons, a figure whose journey mirrors the sun's death and rebirth at the winter solstice. Another image possibly present in the tomb is Cybele, an Anatolian mother goddess associated with fertility and rebirth. Her consort, Attis, dies and is resurrected, yet another echo of nature's cycles, of life returning after death. To the ancient Greeks, these myths weren't mere stories. They were cosmological truths. The sun's journey across the sky, the decay of winter, and the bloom of spring were all part of a divine pattern. The Castor tomb, aligned with the winter solstice, may have served not just as a burial site, but as a stage for cosmic ritual. Savvides notes that solar light gradually enters the tomb throughout the year. By late July, the sun begins to strike the outer entrance. In autumn, its rays touch the sphinxes, guardians of the underworld. Then, on the darkest day of the year, the sun reaches its sacred destination, the tomb's heart. Such a sequence may have mirrored rites of passage. Perhaps ceremonies were held seasonally, welcoming the light, honoring the dead, symbolizing rebirth. The movement of light may have marked sacred time in a physical space, allowing those who entered to feel the rhythm of the cosmos. Savvides believes this was no isolated design choice. It may hint at something even greater. Because while Hephaestion's tomb may have been found, Alexander's own tomb remains lost to history. Ancient texts say his body was brought first to Memphis, then to Alexandria, a city he founded. There, his tomb became a pilgrimage site, visited by Roman emperors like Augustus and Caligula. But over time, its location was forgotten, buried by centuries of war, earthquakes, and urban development. Could Alexander's tomb have shared the same solar alignment? Savvides thinks it's possible. The use of solar illumination and a consistent geometric design aligns with Hellenistic traditions, where rulers, like Alexander the Great, used solar symbolism to reinforce their authority, he said. To align oneself with the sun was to claim cosmic legitimacy, an order above politics, above men. The Ptolemies, who ruled Egypt after Alexander, often depicted themselves with solar crowns and divine light. The tombs they built were filled with star ceilings and solar iconography. It's entirely plausible that Alexander, or those who buried him, chose a resting place illuminated by the heavens. Still, not everyone agrees. Dr. Juan de Lara of the University of Oxford, an expert on ancient Greek architecture and celestial alignments, welcomed Savvides' creativity, but urged caution. The ancient Macedonian calendar was lunisolar, meaning solstice dates shifted each year. It complicates how consistent any solar ritual could be, de Lara explained. And northern Greece is often cloudy in winter. The alignment might have worked on paper, but not always in practice. Was the solar effect even visible every year? Maybe not. But perhaps that wasn't the point. Perhaps the alignment was aspirational. A message encoded in architecture, a way of saying, here lies one who is reborn with the sun, who enters the darkness only to return with the light. Whether or not Hephaestion is buried in the Castor tomb, the monument remains a testament to ancient ambition, to the idea that stone can hold memory and sunlight can carry meaning. And if the Castor tomb was inspired by Alexander's own, or vice versa, then it is also a map, a blueprint, a whisper in stone that says, search the light and you may find the king. Because if Hephaestion rests there, then it isn't just a tomb. It's a love letter in marble, a monument built with sorrow and solar precision, a cosmic dialogue between earth and sky, morning and immortality. And if somewhere beneath the bustling streets of Alexandria, another tomb waits, shaped by the same hand, aligned to the same solstice, then we may not be as far from Alexander as we once believed. Will sunlight one day lead us to the greatest tomb never found? Subscribe now for more stories where archaeology meets astronomy, where ancient worlds return through ruins, myths, and the turning of the heavens.